I've gotten into a bad habit, though I'm working hard to try to break it of late, and I seem to be doing better these days, that I forget to turn my microphone off as I leave church at the end of Mass. And so the wireless microphones for us at the altar are all clipped to these little body packs that have a little switch on them. And I get outside after Mass and I'm talking to people, and eventually it takes a few minutes for somebody to come out and say, your microphone is still on, and everyone in here hears everything that's going on outside. It's in part become a more recent problem than when I first arrived here 8 years ago, because just a few years ago we installed some additional antennas for the wireless microphones so that they can carry outside for when we're outside for Palm Sunday or the Easter Vigil or groundbreaking this Sunday. So it's a good problem that our microphone reach extends well outside into the little quad over there and out the front steps almost to the road. The problem is when I forget and leave it on that I'm still transmitting. We're very attentive to those kinds of things in many ways, about making sure we're connected to the right signal. You get to dead spots in your house where your Wi-Fi doesn't extend or your cell phone doesn't have coverage in the basement or certain places. We're aware of the connectedness. Sometimes we lose sight or just take it for granted, or I just forget that I am connected and need to disconnect at certain times. And that's really what Moses is trying to remind the Israelites as they're preparing to enter the Promised Land. This is Moses' great kind of, here you go, we're off to the Promised Land, but don't forget how you got here, is what he's saying. Keep in mind everything that the Lord has done to save you. Keep your gaze fixed on that so that you can keep the law, keep faithful to the covenant, and keep close to the Lord. We take for granted our connectedness, but it's easy to lose sight of where we're headed or even how we got where we are. And this is simply the admonition to remember that we need to be focused, that we need to be mindful of connectedness, because if we forget and we lose sight, then suddenly we find ourselves standing apart from doing our part in this covenant relationship that brings us life and salvation. It's keeping our gaze fixed on the goal, keeping our gaze fixed on this promise of God, and at the same time, keeping mindful of how we got this far. That we have come this far by, as the old gospel hymn says, we've come this far by faith. We've come this far because of the gift of God, and we have to keep in mind that the gift of God is, in fact, a gift that we have to work at cherishing and preserving and keeping. So let us be mindful today not only of where we're headed, how we got here, but also our connectedness, that we might keep alive and keep strong that link so that the Lord's grace and his mercy continue to flow into our hearts.